Back in June 25, I asked a question about the council strategy in terms of how we're going to move forward with our finances. I'm still yet to receive a response to that, despite several requests and a promise that I would get a response. So I look forward to seeing that at some point in the near future, because it has now been almost 4 months.
My question is, if we're increasing the number of secondary school places, but we aren't building a new school, we already know that many of the schools in Worcester simply don't have the space to expand. They can't build more blocks, because if you build more blocks and more classrooms, you're taking away recreational space, you're taking away space for students to do sports. So they simply can't expand. So does the Cabinet member support increasing the number of students in each class? And if so, what additional support will there be for teachers if this takes place? Will there be additional staff? We also aren't building any SEND places in Worcestershire. So what additional support will there be for SEND support within the high schools in Worcestershire?
In relation to the first question, no, the number in each class won't be increased. We don't. We do have the schools that we have. The officers have approached, are happy to expand their schools, and as regards the SEND request, council approved £30.1 million of expanding SEND capacity in mainstream schools in February 25. That capital and those planned expansions are retained in the capital programme. We haven't changed that at all.
I'm a little confused and a bit shocked by the quality of the answers to the questions that really a lot of my colleagues and opposition members as well are raising. This is a critical situation for our children, and looking at points 7 and 8, I do wonder what sort of time the Cabinet member thinks is acceptable for the children of Worcestershire to spend on a bus because they don't understand capital expenditure and how you borrow to put the investment in for the residents of Worcestershire. Well, to me, it's absolutely crystal clear what we need to do. The cost difference, and I think the councillor from Worcester City just raised the situation with places in Worcester City, is that it costs as much money to expand the schools in Worcester as it would do to build a new school on the site of County Hall. So instead of all this procrastination and obstruction in terms of giving the decisions, could I ask the Cabinet member why he doesn't just get on with it, knock down County Hall and build a school there that can then leave us with the capacity of those other schools in Worcester for future years?
Regards Councillor Kent's, we don't understand capital expenditure. Fortunately, we understand capital expenditure far more than the previous Conservative administration. And I would draw his attention to the Worcester News, the fact that his opposition colleagues in his rainbow coalition actually say that the council's riddled with debt. Councillor Kent continues on the same theme with his proposed reckless expenditure. Let me remind him of the figures. He actually says we just get on with
Hang on
it
a second.
to build the
Point of order has been raised.
I'd like a right to respond, please.
Yep, thank you. Names, yes.
But let him finish first.
Yes, right. So I'd like to remind Councillor Kent of the figures in the capital decision, cabinet decision we took. We planned, by expanding Worcester City Schools, to borrow a minimal amount of money, whereas in building the new school, the cost to the council would be borrowing an extra £33.63 million.
Thank you. Councillor Kent, could you expand on what your point of order is?
Well, the figures just given out by the Cabinet member are completely incorrect. The cost of expanding the Worcester core schools is some 24 million for 28-29, I believe. And the cost of a new school at County Hall is some 25 million. So I'm afraid his figures are incorrect. And to be honest, having listened to the rambling, I do wonder whether he's the right person in the right job. But at the end of the day, the figures, I would like to draw a point of order because the Cabinet member has just given out figures that are incorrect in this meeting. Now, he might not understand them, he might not understand the borrowing, but they were wrong. We've had a recent briefing with the officers, and it's quite clear that the cost of developing places for 28-29 in Worcestershire are within £1 million of the cost of the replacement of a school on County Hall site. Now, I've dropped those figures in this meeting. I'm sure he will want to go away and check them, but he has given incorrect information over on this meeting. To be brutally honest, he does not seem for me to have any grasp of the portfolio that he's got.
How Councillor Kent can consider that borrowing just 3.96 million compared with borrowing a 33 million for a new school is absolutely, well, he just doesn't understand.
The proposal is to bus children from South Worcestershire to the Chase School in Malvern. I seriously question the wisdom of this for the benefit of the children and for the supposed savings in cost. This is a cost over a long period of time and an inconvenience to the users of the service. There is a capacity at the Chase School to take extra students, but that's not the point. We ought to be planning for the future, and the future is much more population in this area. So why is there so much procrastination from the administration over building new schools? I was part of the planning and regulatory decision to build or to approve the building of a new school adjacent to the hospital. There were many positive assets from this proposal, but it seems that that has simply been shelved, whereas it could well have solved a lot of these problems.
The question that I want to ask the Cabinet member is very specific, and I do hope that he's going to be able to answer it, because to be perfectly honest with you, if he can't answer it today, then it will mean that all of the things that he's saying have been ill-conceived and not thought through and will put us in an education emergency. But I'm astonished at the answer the Cabinet member gave, whether he misunderstood the question. But Councillor Boatwright Green, as far as I'm aware, was asking about the Section 106 money that's going to come from the developers, and the Cabinet member stated that it was a paltry 1.2 million. Now, I find that extremely hard to believe. I am also interested to know that the Cabinet member says that schools are happy to expand, because in the case of Badsey, they can't use any of that £1 million because they can't expand for education.
Would the Cabinet member agree with me that it is clearly evident that the Cabinet member and this new administration simply don't have a strategic plan in respect of education place planning, the length and breadth of this county? By kicking this can down the road, it's simply a sticking plaster. And would he firstly make very clear reforms policy on a new secondary school for Worcester City? Can the parents and future pupils of a new secondary school expect to see a new secondary school built in Worcester circa 2029, yes or no? And secondly, as a response to Councillor May's question, when he said we've already taken the decision, we're not having a strategic review of education across Worcestershire, could he advise this council since May, A, when that decision was taken, B, at which meeting that decision was taken, and C, who took that decision?
My question is a relatively simple one, but I've been disappointed by the responses we've had so far. Economic investment decisions need to be finance-led. Highways improvements decisions, to a great degree, need to be finance-led. Education decisions need to be made on the basis of what is right for children within Worcestershire. 4 times I've quoted that the Cabinet member, Councillor Foster, has quoted a financial emergency. If you were to sit in front of a group of parents and their children and tell them they're going to have to commute every day over an hour because of a financial emergency, do you really think that's going to play off with the parents and children within Worcestershire?
The capital required of £29.5 million for the expansion of the Worcester City schools. Borrowing would be 3.96.
Point of order.
The
Hang on a
basic
second.
need
We
10.2
can hear this
million,
point of order
capital
first.
receipts 10.7, and
Councillor
the
Foster.
Section 106 monies are 4.
Point of order, please.
4.8
Can
million
you-
pounds.
Yep.
Inaccurate information. It seems a bit strange that the Leader of the Opposition has got better financial grasp of the figures for schools than the Cabinet member, but it's not to be surprised, is it? Because the performance today, the actual cost of creating
second.
additional
Hang on.
permanent places... Sorry.
Stop.
So
Can you
the
first of all-
information is given is incorrect. I want to correct it.
I'm not sure that's a point of order. Let me just.
Well, it is. It's inaccurate information. He's telling the council and all of the residents of Worcestershire a pack of lies.
In your opinion, so
No, and it's not in my opinion. I have the officer's report in front of me and I can quote the numbers.
I'm sorry. I'm very sympathetic to you, but I'm afraid that's not a point of order. I'm going to move on. Sorry.
What? Sorry, can I just bring that back, Chair? So you're telling me if a Cabinet member gives out figures that are
Councillor Kent,
inaccurate
I think what you're being
in a
asked to
council
do
meeting...
is which part of the procedural standing orders are you referring to?
21.
Let's have a look.